She is a psychologist, 30 years old, and left Fortaleza at the beginning of this year, 2026, to participate in academic events in Europe. And since March 3rd, she has been missing in the English countryside. Her name is Vitória Figueiredo Barreto. This video will show you every detail that is known so far, based on official statements from the British police and information released by the family and friends to the press. I'm Marcos Campos. Welcome everyone. Every week there are 3 episodes here. If you enjoy detailed real stories, subscribe, enable notifications, like, comment, and consider becoming a member. Marcos Campos out. Let's get to the facts. Who is Vitória? Vitória is originally from Fortaleza in Ceará. She graduated in integrative psychology from the University of Fortaleza, Unifor, with a specialization in family therapy, systemic therapy, and constellation. She is a professor of integrative community therapy and works in the 4 Varas project, which is a community mental health initiative. There, developed in the outskirts of Fortaleza and coordinated by psychiatrist Adalberto Barreto, Vitória's uncle. And in addition to her work in Brazil, she collaborates as a consultant for the World Health Organization in the systematization of integrative community therapy, together with a center in Lima, Peru, an important detail for the context of the searches. Vitória speaks English fluently, and if she needs to ask for help, language won't be a barrier. The 2026 trip is... In January of this year, Vitória left Brazil to attend the International Congress of Social Psychiatry in Marrakech, Morocco. She went with her uncle Adalberto, and the two of them also taught in-person courses in Casablanca, later in Morocco. Then she went to the United Kingdom, where she arrived on February 2nd. One of the goals of the trip was to evaluate the possibility of pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy in England. For about a month, she stayed at a friend's house. At the beginning of March, she moved to the house of her friend Lilian Silva, a Brazilian psychologist and professor at the University of Essex. And Lilian's house is in Saltendonse, a coastal city in the county of Essex, about 65 kilometers east of London. The 2 days before the disappearance, on Monday, March 2nd, Vitória and Lilian went together to the campus of the University of Essex in Wivehoe, which is a small university town on the outskirts of Colchester. It's about 80 kilometers northeast of London, and the trip from Saltendonse to there takes about an hour by car. Vitória spent the whole day studying in the library, while Lilian was teaching classes. They had lunch together and returned in the afternoon. Everything went well in the evening, and on Tuesday, March 3rd, they repeated the routine. They left together at 7 in the morning for the university, and at noon they had lunch together again. And Professor Lilian reported that she found Vitória very quiet during that lunch, something unusual for her, since she was always very talkative. So the plan was for them to meet around 4:45 in the afternoon, at a specific spot on campus, so they could go back home together. But Vitória didn't show up, her phone wasn't answering, and the messages weren't being delivered on WhatsApp, and Lilian searched everywhere. She searched all 5 floors of the library, the outdoor areas of the campus, the area around the lake, where Vitória liked to hang out. And she got help from the university security guards, but nothing. Then she got in touch with Vitória's family, who confirmed that the phone had remained active until 1:44 ante-meridium. And then Vitória reported the disappearance to the police, as family and friends stated. People close to Vitória told the press that in the days before her disappearance, she had made comments that caused concern. The family reported that she had mentioned the arrival of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and that it was her end. She had also talked about the need to prepare to cross a portal, a transition. And these comments, of course, combined with her sudden disappearance and total silence, naturally heightened the state of alert. The anguish of everyone who knows her, the description and what she was wearing. According to the Essex police, Vitória was last seen wearing a dark coat, a blue turtleneck sweater, light blue jeans, and black sneakers. She was also carrying a white crossbody bag with the phrase in English, "people over profit," which in Portuguese means "from the record." So, after the disappearance, the Essex police began to put together the timeline using security camera footage. Vitória was seen boarding bus number 87 around 1 p.m. in the university area. Then, she got off the bus about 30 minutes later, in the Brightling Sea Marina area. And just to give you some context, guys, this place, Brightling Sea, is a small coastal fishing town in Essex County on the banks of the River Coney estuary. It's about 15 kilometers south of Colchester. It's a small town with a private boat harbor and a rural-style waterfront. It's definitely very different from London's hustle and bustle. The police then released camera footage that supposedly shows Victoria walking around the city throughout the afternoon. According to witness reports, she was seen after getting off the bus, asking a couple for help, but they couldn't help her. Later, the same couple reported seeing Victoria walking with a woman who was pushing a baby stroller. When the case became public, this couple even gave a statement to the police at dawn at the port. An image released by the Essex Police on March 11 shows a person investigators believe to be Victoria. She was moving around there among the boats. This was around 12:16 a.m. on March 4 on the cameras of a property near the Brighton port. In fact, the investigators themselves were cautious, even about this. In their identification, they used expressions like, for example, someone who looked like her, someone who could be her. And the images were shown to the family. This is the last record supposedly identified so far, according to the document released by the family. The record shows that 12 minutes after the last image of the person identified as Vitória. Next to a boat, a small vessel was taken from the location and used to row to larger boats at the anchorage. The police are investigating whether it was her who operated the boat. The Essex police also confirmed that the boat was found adrift in the water near Bradwell-on-Sea and was later returned to Brighton. All of these are nearby regions. Okay, guys? The owner of the vessel only realized it was missing around 10:30 in the morning on the 4th because the boat's radio was turned off. The vessel, of course, is now the subject of a police investigation. And Lilian, Vitoria's friend, also pointed out in an interview that at the moment when Vitória was at the port, the tide was high and the current was really strong. Just to give you some context, guys. Bradwell-on-Sea is another small coastal town in Essex County, about 20 kilometers south of Brighton-on-Sea. As I mentioned, all the areas nearby are very rural, and it's hard to find your way around if you don't know the place, especially at night. The second boat and the life jacket. The family reported, based on what the Essex police had told them, that Victoria tried to start a motorboat at that port. She tried to connect some electrical cables on the boat, but the vessel didn't work, so she dragged the boat into the water and it was left adrift. The family also reported that with the boat adrift, Victoria put on the life jacket that was on the vessel. It was orange, horseshoe-shaped, very traditional. Then she jumped into the water looking for a safe place and for cell phone signal. Her friend Fernanda Silvestre Costa, a psychologist and Vitoria's colleague in Fortaleza, said on social media that she received an emergency alert sent by Vitoria's iPhone because both of their devices were paired. According to Fernanda, the location system showed that the last signal from the phone pointed to a position in the sea, and this signal was received around 5 a.m. on Tuesday, Brasilia time. So, on March 9th, a local resident found Victoria's white bag in Brightland Sea. That same bag. You know the phrase there, people over profit, right? The family confirmed that among the items found were cell phone chargers, a water bottle, the certificate from the event in Morocco, and a diary with notes from the trip, near Marina. The family also found during the active searches a teacup that belonged to Victoria. Lilian herself later told the press that when she opened the cup, the tea bag she had prepared was still there. On March 15th, already 12 days after the searches began, the authorities found Victoria's laptop, but her passport, bank cards, and cell phone are still missing. The family is still out in the field. Victoria's boyfriend, Genilson Gomes da Silveira, had planned his visit to England before her disappearance because she had asked him to come, and he brought her mother, Gleice Bezerra, as a surprise. But when they arrived at the airport, Victoria didn't come to meet them and there was no communication. Now both of them are actively participating in the search. Since then, and on March 14th, the mother, the boyfriend, and her friend Lilian split into teams to conduct active searches, talk to residents, and distribute flyers. The entire Brazilian community in Essex was mobilized to put Brazilian flags in their windows, thus possibly creating safe reference points. In case Vitória shows up and needs help, the detective in charge of the case, Anna Granger from the Essex Police, publicly asked residents in the area to check their home security cameras, vehicles, anything they can. In her words, if you see something there that shouldn't be, if there's something that makes you believe someone was on your boat, please get in touch. So guys, here's a request from the police for people to actually check their cameras, right? Maybe a small detail there could really help extend a more precise line of investigation. On March 16th, guys, very recently, it's not the 13th day of searching yet. After receiving a series of reports of Vitória sightings in the regions of Brighton-Sea and Bradwell-on-Sea, the Essex Police opened an online channel to receive information about the whereabouts of the woman from Ceará. The search involves specialized police teams, drones, helicopters, sniffer dogs, and volunteers. And look, early March on the east coast of England sees temperatures around 5 to 10 degrees with winds coming from the North Sea, which explains the families' and friends' concern about the weather factor, unlike what is being done in Brazil. In a statement on March 5th, the Itamaraty reported that it is following the case through the Consulate General of Brazil in London and is keeping in touch with local authorities and the family. The Regional Psychology Council of Ceará issued a note of solidarity, highlighting the importance of collective mobilization and the responsible circulation of information. The Ceará court ordered the breaking of Vitória's banking and telephone secrecy to help with the investigations. This happened after a request from her family and a favorable opinion from the Ceará Public Prosecutor's Office. The family members were advised not to try to access any of Vitória's accounts on social networks or apps. Any attempt to access again could interfere with the tracking carried out by the investigators. The British government is monitoring hospitals, airports, ports, and borders. So far, Vitória has not left the United Kingdom. If you happen to be in the United Kingdom, live around there, or have any information, it's important to call 999, which is the British Police emergency number. You can also send information through the online channel, which was opened by the Essex Police and was made public on March 16th. And to follow more closely, in Portuguese, what's happening and the updates, you can access the official profile of the case on Instagram. At Where is Vitória, created by her family to centralize all the information, requests for help, and so on. And if by any chance you live in Brighton-Sea, know someone there in Bradwell-on-Sea or any other city in the Essex region, check your cameras, doorbell cameras, just to see who's ringing, any surveillance camera at home, in your car, anyway. Any possibility for you to check something, as I mentioned, that could be useful for the investigation, to pull a thread there that might eventually help guide the case better. And another important thing, share this video so that people know, right? So everyone is aware of the whole case. Here's a general overview of what's known so far about this disappearance case, which still has many loose ends. But what we're sure of is that we sincerely hope Vitória is found. She is very much awaited here in Brazil. The whole world is also following the case, I believe. We're anxious, and we have this hope that she'll be rescued safe and sound, that it was just a scare, right? Maybe it was a panic attack, some momentary disorientation, and she's somewhere waiting to be rescued, to be found. That's it. Share the video and follow on Instagram to stay updated. Thanks for your company, a kiss from the redhead, and see you next episode.